Everybody, it's Annette from the Art of Intuition. And today we're going to talk about how our emotions and being attached to an outcome completely blurs us from seeing all other outcomes, right? Because we always talk on this channel about there's an infinite number of outcomes. Every outcome you can think of has happened somewhere. You know, multidimensionality, we talk a lot about that. We talk about our multidimensional selves. We talk about different timelines, different consciousness that propels you into a different timeline, raising your body consciousness to get you into a different timeline. We discuss it ad nauseum on here. And one thing I want to kind of delve into is how when we attach to an outcome, we shut out all other possibilities to the point where we really don't even see them. You know, we get almost into that obsession energy about an outcome. It has to be this one. I want it because of all these reasons. And it could be the most unaligned thing ever, but that's the one we want. And because we want it, we'll say, I don't see another way. You know, I don't see another way. It can't be another way. Or there's nobody else. You know, there's no other job I want, no other person I want, no other anything else I want in the world but that outcome. You know, and I don't see myself in anything else. And when we get that emotion around anything, the emotion blocks our ability to see anything else. And it almost negates the one we want in a sense, because what it's going to do, it can pull it to us, but it's not going to pull it to you in the frequency of which you want it to be. It's almost pulling it to you, but from such an emotional place, you're now in a different timeline with that outcome. So the outcome itself is not the frequency of the outcome you wanted. You know, you might really want a certain person, right? And that's the only outcome you see. And that's all you're striving toward is that one person, that one thing. You strive to get there. But when you get there, and let's say you do get that person and you're living your life and it's just not the way you thought it was going to be because consciously it doesn't work. It's not aligned. You might feel really squished in the relationship because you're kind of squishing yourself into a frequency that your body does not want to be in anymore. You know, so your body reacts. Your body doesn't want to be kind of squished back into an old timeline. And when I say an old timeline, even though it could be a totally different experience to you, the energetics of that timeline is the same. It's not that different because the energy of which we're creating it from is the same. You know, we're programming it with the same thing. And if the minute we say it has to be one way, that is the first indicator for you to know you are operating from a very emotional attachment to a outcome. When it has to be a certain way, there's no other way, then you know, okay, I got to go look at this. If the words come out of your mouth, or that's the way it is, that's the kind of another way to say the same thing. That's how it's got to be. No, it's not. That's not how it has to be. That's not the only way it is. There's always another way. I'll say this, I think I've said this before, but that was one thing in the book Tommyland by, oh gosh, what's his name? I can't believe I forgot. The drummer from Motley Crue. Anyway, everyone knows the drummer from Motley Crue. But in his book, he said, if someone tells you there's only one way, then they're not telling you the truth. There's never just one way. And that's very true. So Tommy Lee, there you go. We're going to give credit to Tommy Lee on that one because that's very true. There's always another way. That there's never just one way. And if we're saying that, we're operating from a condition we're placing on it. There's only one way for me to get the outcome I want. There's only one way for me to get that particular person for that specific thing. The more we're boxing it in, the more emotionally charged we are, the more we obsess with that one outcome, the more that outcome will elude us, even if we actually feel like we got it. Because the energetics of the outcome is not the same. You know, we're operating from, it's a very lack and needy when we say, I have to have it that way, right? You know, this is not, you know, it's not Burger King. We don't get it our way. That's one thing Lisa Transcendence Brown would say all the time if you follow her work. It's not Burger King, you don't get it your way. Ascension, you don't get it your way. We don't always get it we don't get it our human way. I will guarantee you that. It's not the way your human would want it. And our human is the one that has all these emotions around it. And it clouds us from seeing any other way. It clouds us from seeing what's actually going on energetically. It clouds us from the truth. Even though that truth is going to change, as your consciousness changes, the truth changes. We have to get away from this. That's the only way it can be. And we have to identify when we're in that. Because I'll catch myself saying it. Or I want it to be this way. I want it to be with these people. I don't want it to be with these people. And we're trying to kind of program something because of an emotional attachment we have to it. And when we do that, we're now it's like we're taking a balloon, and instead of us riding up with the balloon and getting into a different frequency with the balloon, we're trying to pull it down, and we're kind of letting it kind of weigh us down, because it might not be the only way. Like I said, I guarantee you it's not the only way. But it's the only way we can see, because we don't want to see. And with a lot of ascension, with a lot of opening up to your other senses, whether it be precognizance, which we all have, all of them, but opening up to any of them, being able to read your field, being able to really understand what's going on, read your field consciously, because you're always unconsciously reading your field. That's why a lot of the things we say, oh, I want it, and we can't ever get it, because our field's keeping it away for a reason. Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. Or, a lot of these old adages are based in a very conscious truth, in a sense. I know I don't want to use the word truth so much, but I guess we're gonna keep repeating it today. It's based in something there. We want something so badly, we blind ourselves to seeing any other. We can't even see another way. We can't even see another way. That's, I guarantee you, more aligned than the way we have to have it. Anything I've ever had to have, the minute you get it, the first thing we say is, "It was not what I thought it was going to be." Well, because we're feeling it into one frequency, and we're tearing it down into another, because we're trying to get ourselves into something that's not highest aligned. We want it to be the highest aligned outcome. Not just aligned to a program we're carrying. We want it to be the highest aligned outcome. And if it's not, we really have to look and go, okay, well, why do I want it then? And sometimes we even see the flaws with it. We can get to a point where we can see, boy, there's a lot of red flags here, which is a little different from our human consciousness, where we don't even see the flag. Everyone else can see the flags but us, right? There's flags flying everywhere, and we're oblivious to them, but everyone else around us can see them, because they're not emotionally attached. They can see more, right? It doesn't even matter what consciousness they're in. It's blaring, it's so blaringly not aligned. As more conscious we get, it's even more quirky, because we can see the red flags. We can see that the consciousness of, the groups who might want to mesh with don't really mesh. We can see so many different things going on, and we're still like, no, it's okay. I'm okay. This is going to be perfectly fine. We can work all this stuff out later. We're gonna just keep on moving with it, because this is the outcome I want. We get very tunnel vision, and we're not allowing ourselves to really feel into our field. We get into the monkey mind of it all. It has to be a certain way. And the thing about that is, I'm going to keep reiterating it, we can't see anything else, because we're not allowing ourselves to. We're so ingrained in it's got to be one way. Open yourselves up to there being another way. Open yourself up to being a different outcome. Let go of the emotion around that outcome. That might be the best outcome. But we really can't see that and really look at it and see, is it really energetically aligned? What is the consciousness of this outcome? Am I going off an old program wanting this? It might be you can have the same outcome, but you can't have the energetics that you currently have wanting that outcome. You have to want it from a different place. You have to not want it at all, and see if it comes in. You will start working all the time. We're going to be working from a higher consciousness. People say that you're working from the future, because you're in a higher consciousness looking down, trying to pull your body up into different timelines you want to experience. We don't want to keep ourselves in a very linear mindset of something has to be a certain way. And the minute we do that, we are locking the door to everything else. And that's why we can stay stuck in so many timelines for so long, because we're choosing to. We're choosing to say that's it. And not only that, sometimes we'll say, I'm choosing to stay where I am, and I'm going to just wait for that outcome. And if I got to sit and wait here forever, that's what I'm going to do. And we've all done that to an extent. Waited for someone, waited for something, waited for this thing we want to happen so bad. that we let a lot of other things go on the wayside while we wait because we're so tunnel vision about it. And we put so much faith in that exterior thing that we're not really looking at the whole picture. We're just looking at this. And whatever is in front of that for us, that's what I want. That's what I have to have. And the funny thing about that, that's very much in our human consciousness when we do that. Even if we saw this from our higher consciousness, but when we get so attached to it having to be that way, we bastardize it in a sense. And now we're just sitting there with such a mindset on one thing. We can't even fathom that maybe just opening up to that one thing would now open us up to 100 other different roads that are more aligned than that one thing. But we had to open ourselves up to that one thing to be open to these other 100 things. But we just get so ingrained in that one thing, we can't even see it. We're just going to sit there and look at that door we want to open so bad. We don't see the 800 windows that opened around us because we're so tunnel vision on that one thing. We begin to be like little children looking at that one thing saying, I really, really want that. I can remember my nephew when he was really small, like, I don't know, 2 or 3, when a package would come, he wouldn't even know what was in the package. He would just sit there with the package and cry. He would just cry, and you'd pick the package up and kind of put it up somewhere. It wasn't even, he didn't know what was in it. Had nothing to do with him. He would just cry and reach for it because he wanted it so bad. And it's like, you don't even know what it is. Why do you want it so bad? He would start to cry. He would follow it around when you're carrying it and just reaching and crying for it because he wanted it so bad. And that's kind of what we're doing. As humans, as adults, that's what we're doing. We want that thing so bad. And you open it up and you're like, oh, I didn't know why I wanted it so bad. It's not what I thought it was going to be. Because our frequency is off. We're too emotionally attached to it. We're letting the emotion kind of drag us into needing it so bad. Now we change the whole frequency of the whole thing. Now it's taken our power away in a sense. So now the whole reality is going to flip back to show you can't let this thing take your power away. It's never going to work when you want anything that badly. Because it's just not, I'm sorry. Something pop up. It's just not what we wanted it to be. And then we can get very disillusioned because we're like, oh, I really wanted that. It didn't work out. Because we're the reason it didn't work out. We always can sit there in another old adage, oh, it's not you, it's me. And that's true. It is us. We're the reason it's not working because we're reprogramming this timeline into almost like a self-destruct mode. It's never going to work. Because we put too much on the external. I have to have it that way because that's the only way it can work. The only way I'm going to be happy if it works out this particular way. And that's complete bullshit. And we block our sight to everything else. Open yourselves up to other ways. Because when you first get into higher consciousness realities, it's never the way you thought it would be. You really have to be wide open and go a lot, kind of roll with it. It's one of my favorite lines in the Harry Potter movies. It was, I don't remember what movie it was. I think it was The Half-Blood Prince. I might be wrong on that, but I think it was that movie when Dumbledore shows up and something weird happens and Dumbledore's like, oh, I'm sure you have a lot of questions, Harry. And Harry's like, you know what? At this point, sir, I just kind of roll with it. And that's what you have to do. You kind of have to roll with it because none of these timelines are going to kind of work out the way you think they are. And how you get to the timeline you were trying to get to is going to be not the linear path you thought it would take. And the people you thought would be there are going to be totally different people. So enjoy the ride because it's not going to be the ride you thought it was going to be. But it's still going to be the most soul-aligned, beautiful reality. We just don't realize that yet because we can't even think of it because we're so ingrained on something else and so fixated on something else. Okay, keep practicing the art of intuition.